Now there ain't nothing to it, go ahead and bring Goliath on. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you, I'm wrong, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm a reconcile born, so ain't nothing to it though.
We're excited for this new job. This is a car barn in Doylestown. We're going to be replacing existing tennis and basketball courts. We're going to be tearing that out and building a car barn basically in the same imprint, slightly smaller than what was here. So we're excited to start this project. This is going to end up being a 20-car barn with an attached mechanical room and then a front and rear porch area. We're going to be putting in a new driveway, connecting that to the customer's existing driveway. And then inside it'll have a vaulted ceiling, so it'll be two stories, but full height ceilings all the way up.
Bait and cease and take seats. I hate to be the one say I ain't keep 100. Dread you changing me, we major league. They pay to see the way that we come and compete. It's clear to me, you talking off and mean. You say the least, you better believe we've been through the ring.
We're just wrapping up the first stage of demo. So what you'll see behind me, this used to be a tennis court. Had tall steel fencing around the perimeter, a couple basketball nets, and then tennis courts. So this back here, this was the top coating of asphalt on top of the existing concrete. The concrete sub base we're going to leave and reincorporate that so we don't have to bring in so much fill. And then over here, this was what's left of perimeter retaining walls to keep any runoff water off of the court. So at this point there was a gazebo here. This got taken down. All the iron fencing is down. We took off the top layer of the courts and the retaining wall and then peeled back a section of fence. Next up is going to be site work. We're going to be putting in all the erosion control measures, getting everything ready to start digging, and that's up next.
Anywhere we go against it's over with. We pull the boulder at the bottom molded and just know that we are not gonna be going quiet. Got it on autopilot, automatic, stuck louder than all your bias. We on top, give you my word, you hold them by it. Hold the rise, letting the army that's behind them remind them that I am invincible. I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I think you understand. Watch me escape it all. The world is in my hands. I am unbreakable. I'ma show you who I am. I'm like, bring two guys and have one guy get out there. So much easier.
All right, welcome back to Doylestown, Pennsylvania on this beautiful day at our car barn project. As you can see, we're still in the demolition phase here. We made a few changes to the plan. Originally, we were going to keep about a third to half the slab since our new elevation was going to be so much higher than where we're currently at. But because we're going to be in the way of the excavator and some of the demolition procedures, we figured just get it out of here. So we chose to broke it up. It's a 6-inch concrete pad that's currently getting busted up and carted away now. And if you look around the perimeter of our job site, we have all of our erosion control in place and safety fencing up, and that all goes in prior to any excavation or earth disturbance.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a way. Yeah. You know I be on the way.
We're at our Doylestown car barn, and behind me here, we just staked out for the 4 corners of the building. Checked elevations so we know how deep we're going to be digging, and then they're going to start digging the footings today. So we've got 2 days of digging footings. The concrete contractor is going to be coming in right behind us to lay in the rebar for the footing, then inspection and pour.
Check's big and I'm sure that hurts, but it's checkmate. We ain't selling short, know the work. Ain't nowhere to hide. You ain't gotta see me come and keep me on your mind, 'cause I be on the way.
So right now behind me, he's using his transit laser to figure out the elevation and match that on all 4 corners, because at the high end over here, we're about a 3-foot difference from the low end here. So he's finding his heights, and then he's gonna start digging.
I got a vision for the things you ain't believe, and here's the motto: hard work that's over everything. It's that comeback.
So the first aspect of building a new structure is the footing, the concrete footing. So if you look down into the hole, you're going to see that we have a trench 2 feet wide, and then we have 2 lengths of rebar. That's to make sure that the footing is continuous, it's all tied together, there's no breaks, and keeps the structural integrity of it. So that's going to be poured Then on top of that, we're gonna build our foundation wall. So that's what's gonna come up out of the ground. That's typically 8 inches wide. And then on top of the foundation wall, we build our framing wall with our stud lumber, our metal studs. And then inside the walls, obviously, will be crushed stone and then concrete. And in this case, we're also doing radiant heat underneath. So that's gonna be heat tubing tied to wires on top of insulation. And that's gonna provide heat to the slab so that the space stays conditioned. Our concrete contractor is here waiting for the truck. We have a truck scheduled in about an hour. So as soon as that arrives, we're gonna go ahead and pour our footings, and then these guys are gonna deliver the forms. And next couple days is gonna be building the form walls and getting the inspection so we're ready to pour our walls.
We ain't never fall back. Come up with a game plan. Double XL up in the pen, you can't shake that. All the way gassed up, full tank, man. Moving too quick, keep the cameras in the playback. Dang, so tell me how you feel with it. You put a lid on it, I ain't got no chill with it. This right here your problem, you gon' have to deal with it. Lay it on the line, high risk, that's the meal ticket.
So as you can see behind me here, our mason's filling up his concrete forms. Yesterday, he got all the forms in place, got everything squared up. This morning, we passed our inspection, and as you can see behind me, the pump truck's working real hard, getting all of our forms filled up behind us here, and getting ready for our slab coming up next.
And you can find me where I'm at, we ain't never fall back. We ain't never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at, we ain't never fall back. Been way down, never vaulted. Came with the hands out, get them off us. I'm 24/7 in the office. Pay attention, cause
Behind me, you can see we started installing the drainage system. So these are concrete drain boxes connected by lengths of pipe, and it pitches along the backside and then turns and runs out to grade along the long side of the barn. This is bedded with filter fabric and then stone. We'll get it inspected like this once the whole system's in, and then we cover it with stone, roll the fabric, and backfill on top. Next steps here is going to be the pad prep. So we're going to roll out all the earth, the backfill, make sure it's nice and compacted, and then we're going to add crushed stone and crushed concrete to bring ourselves up to the level that we need to be for our pad prep. Next week, we're going to have the plumbers out here. We're going to be laying in insulation, vapor barrier, and then the piping for the underslab heat. Once that's done, we're ready to pour. We're back in Doylestown at our car barn project, and if you look behind me, last we left off, we were still putting in the drainage solutions, all the piping and the control boxes. That's all in, that's been backfilled. We're still gonna do a little bit of rough grading, tidy that up, but for our purposes right now, that's done. Behind me, you'll see inside the structure, we did a layer of crushed concrete to bring ourselves up to the height that we need to be. Rolled that and compacted that, and now we just added the sub base of stone. So at this point, we're going to be adding insulation, a vapor barrier, and then on top of that, we're going to be putting wire, and then we're going to be putting in plumbing for our underslab heating. But at that point, we're ready to pour. Now we're laying out for our interior piers, where our structural columns are going to be. So right behind me, we have those pegged to the center. They're going to dig them out, and then those are going to get poured first, and then the pad after that. Now, before we have our crews go off site, our mechanical room is going to be on the far side here, and then the pad. So right now we're trenching for our new electrical feed from the detached building where we're connecting, and they're gonna lay in conduit so we can pull our electrical line later on. We can close that up, get an inspection, and then stub that up in the mechanical room, so we have that right next to where our breaker panel is gonna go. behind me is the under slab plumbing. So what we do is we run piping for the radiant heat, and we tie that to the wire. The wire's on 2-inch chairs, so the pipes are gonna be roughly 3 inches high in the 6-inch pad. So they're gonna be right about the center of the pad, which is the most efficient place for them to be to spread the heat in the concrete. So behind me, you'll see that they laid those in. They tied it to the wire. The wire's tied to chairs, sitting on top of our insulation and our vapor barrier. And then we're gonna pour concrete next. After pour, we're gonna start framing. So as of when we pour the concrete, that's a wrap on phase 1.
Ready for the comeback? Yeah.
When we pour our pads, we're also going to pour the back porch and then the front porch in the other side of the building that the driveway is going to meet up to. These piers here are going to be holding support columns for the back porch roof, and then there's 2 more in the front, so we're going to pour those at the same time. And then behind me, we did some temporary framing so that our HVAC guys can hang their their boiler unit on the wall, so it's up out of our way, because we're going to pour that concrete right through. It's going to be all one pad connected to this porch pad as well. So they're going to prep everything, hang their unit temporarily, and then when we go to frame, we'll knock that down and put up the pressure treated sill plates and our new framing.
One thing I gotta know now, so are you ready for the comeback? Yeah. Are you ready for the...
Alright guys, thanks for coming along for this part of the process. We're wrapping up phase 1 with the pour of our concrete pad. So we appreciate you following along with us. Look forward to phase 2.
Are you ready for the comeback?